This is Charles Bird. This is the September 26th, 2020 edition of Rant-Om Thoughts. I took a week off from posting a video. I'll explain to it in the next installment. Which I was going to film today. A lot happened in the past 2 weeks that I do want to talk about. But something really earth-shaking for the liberty movement happened today, and I'm just going to devote the whole episode to what happened. Yesterday afternoon, I woke up to the horrific news that the greatest living statesman of our age, Dr. Ron Paul, suffered a stroke while filming an episode of the Ron Paul Liberty Report. This would be around noon Central Time or Eastern Time. Nine a.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is my time zone, is usually when the new videos show up on YouTube. So I'd heard the news that he'd suffered a stroke and he was rushed to the hospital. He's fine now. I don't know how long he'll be there. Probably overnight or a couple of days. But it was a very, very scary thing to hear about. As you can see, this is a yard sign from the 2008 campaign. It wasn't from the official campaign per se, but this was something I very proudly put in the front yard from 2007 all the way up to the bitter end when he suspended his campaign. And I'm gonna carry this with me wherever I end up living. Even if, God forbid, I end up being homeless, this will be my only worldly possession. That sign and the cat are the only two things I won't part with. I first became aware of Ron Paul in the late 90s. I was a campus conservative. Reading the New American magazine, and they ran one of his 4 speeches. Then they started carrying his It also carried his column every now and then. But I remember reading it and just being blown away by it, being wowed by it and what he had to say. I mean, it seemed like he was it's in that speech. It seemed like he embodied everything I thought Republicans stood for, or at least thought they ought to stand for. And when I looked him up, and it really blew my mind that the party leadership did not want him in the House. That Newt Gingrich and both Bushes had campaigned against him in primaries for his primary opponent. And there was even one election where, Dr. Paul, who had the most pro-gun record of any congressman, serving during his career. Excuse the outside noise. I live 3 blocks from a railroad track. But there was even one election cycle where Dr. Paul, who had his with his absolutely stellar pro-gun record, there was actually one election cycle where the National Rifle Association endorsed a Democrat running against him. You know, but this was a man who stood steadfast and firm against the Clintons' Balkan Wars, and then stood steadfast and firm against the Iraq War and during the Bush years. And each election cycle, since I'd heard of him, 2000, 2004, I'd wondered why doesn't he just toss his hat in the ring and run? And then that morning in early 2007, he declared, and it was one of the most exciting moments in my life. I had gotten involved in the meetups, did some sign waving and precinct walking for him. Got to meet him in person at a rally at Google headquarters over in the East Bay. Shook his hand. At that same rally, G. Edward Griffin was there, so was Justin Raimondo. I think I don't know if it was for sure if it was DV Kid. I mean, it kind of looked like her, but I thought she might have been there. And there was one part from that speech that really stuck with me. It was when he said that in a free society, your life will be yours to lead, but it will also be yours to ruin. contrary to what the Melinda Masons of the world will have you believe, libertarianism is not, it's not libertinism. It's not do what thou wilt. You know, you're not going to have, nanny around to protect you from the consequences of your bad decisions. It's still important that you make the right decisions. It's the other half of the libertarian coin. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but he looked in my direction when he said that. It felt like he was talking directly to me. Yeah. Supported him again in 2012 when he retired from Congress. He gave this great farewell speech, which I will link below in the description. Will this affect his ability to do further episodes, to speak? It depends on the severity, and I've not heard any details besides what I've heard from others, and these days it's hard to tell fact from speculation. So those of you out there, if you believe in it, prayer, thoughts, positive energy, whatever it is you believe in, just send it his direction, and the direction of his family. This man has been at the vanguard, the spearhead of every movement. When Aaron Russo did his film, America, Freedom to Fascism, and if I can find it on YouTube or the other streaming platforms, I think I'll link to that below. Because even though it was made in 2006, it's still very relevant to today. And he appeared in that documentary. And that's what generated interest in his presidential run. And I actually like to trace the history of the Tea Party movement to Dr. Paul's appearance in that documentary. And you know what? The spirit of what was started by Ron Paul, it lives and breathes today in the Mises Caucus, which is doing some excellent work in the Libertarian Party. And as small a part as I'm playing in it, I am proud to be playing a part in it. And even now in these times, right? Almost on a daily basis, these past 6 months now, he's been exposing the truth about the coronavirus pandemic. This was a man who'd been in Congress off and on for 4 decades, almost, and who's practiced medicine off and on for 6 decades. So, using his expertise in medicine combined with his knowledge of DC and how that machinery works, he's been able to see through the lies that are being told to us by the government and the media and the medical establishment, and showing us the truth there. And that's if he ends up having to retire from you know doing the Ron Paul Liberty Report, that's going to be a shocking loss to us. And it's a reminder. It's a reminder that we're all mortal. We're all even the greatest of us will pass from the scene. So, and, even though we wouldn't see his like again if he did die, there are dedicated people out there. I think will be up to the task to picking up the banner and continuing the charge. As a matter of fact, Wednesday, after his son Rand Paul, in an exchange reminiscent of his father's legendary showdowns with Greenspan and his successor Bernanke, had a very heated back and forth between the chief snake oil salesman himself, Anthony Fauci, and on the same day that happened, the powers that be on this platform pulled his video and threatened to deplatform him. And I don't think that's a coincidence at all. Something smells very fishy there. So I'm going to leave his congressional farewell speech below. We try to find a link to America, Freedom to Fascism, and leave that there for you to read. And just think while it's still just keep thinking while it's still legal to keep thinking. Vote gold, reopen America. I'll see you next time. I'm going to try cutting another episode soon, in a day or two, so I can get to the other stuff I wanted to talk about. But I felt it appropriate to do a standalone episode devoted to the great Dr. Paul, and what he meant to me. And if anybody has any special memories or special thoughts of Ron Paul, please leave them in the comments below. Yeah, I know he has his detractors out there, so even though this should go without saying, if you're going to be negative and attack him, especially when he's down, I know how to use the delete button and I know how to use the block button, so don't bother. All right. Think while it's still legal. Reopen America. Get well soon, Dr. Paul. Hopefully, you'll still be making videos. And let's just keep fighting the good fight. I'll see you next time.